Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is video number 4 of the Black Powder for Beginners series of videos that we're doing, and this time we're going to take a look at reloading dies. Now a lot of you guys that are thinking about switching to black powder from smokeless probably already have die sets for your rifle, and you're wondering in your head, is that die set going to work? Do I need any specialty dies? What are the differences between loading for smokeless and loading for black, and how does it all kind of work? Well, that's a loaded question, so come on in here and let's have a look. Okay, so if we start in looking at this set of RCBS dies right here for the 4590, it's a standard 3-die set. You've got a decapper pin and a sizing die. Now, when we get home from the range, our brass is usually always decapped. We decap our brass at the range, and this is one of the differences about black powder. So you're not likely to ever have a situation shooting black powder where you're going to use this decapper stem. So that goes right there. And frankly, for single shot rifles, I don't use the sizing die either, except for in one function where sometimes I use this to take a little bit of belling off of the case mouth after I seat a bullet, and I'll get into that in a little while. Your expander die that you have for your second die, if you take the plug out and look at them, they have these steps in the plug, and it's kind of a rough transition, honestly. If you can see this, there's a really sharp transition here, and it's really not appropriate for single shot rifles or what we're trying to do. Now, if you're loading for a lever gun, you probably want that step in there because you're going to use a bullet similar to this, which has a crimp groove. This is a 450 grain bullet. This would be a good hunting bullet, for instance. And this has a crimp groove, which allows it to be used in a rifle with a tube mag or with smokeless powder. This is one of my match bullets right here, and this bullet has no crimp groove. These are all micro mini lube grooves, and it's designed to not be crimped, basically, right? We don't put any neck tension on these match loads because we're running it in a single shot rifle. We don't care if the bullet can slide in the case. In fact, here is a loaded round of ammo from the Desert International, and you can just pull that right out. And this is pretty standard. This is called slip fitting the bullet. Ooh, get back in there, little sucker. This is called slip fitting, and that's all the more tension it has. And basically the only thing that holds that bullet in the case is the lube. It's kind of a little sticky, and so it'll hold it in there and allow this to ride nose down in an ammo box and survive. And the way that I got that is by using this expander plug right here, and this is a custom item. This is available from Buffalo Arms. This is a custom expander plug, and you use it in a standard die body. They use these, this is a Redding die body right here. At any rate, this plug expands from 460 at the mouth to 461 up here at the top, right? And the point of that is to allow the bullet to sit exactly in the case without having a big bell here that I need to get rid of later on. Because again, this bullet is going to be bumped into the lands of the rifling when I chamber it, and I don't care if it can move forward a little bit. It won't move forward because it's bumping the lands. So you need one of these. And these are economically priced. Buffalo Arms sells these for really not a lot of money. But you definitely need a custom expander. This one is sized 460 to 461. Right? Now I have another one here, which is just a straight 460 expander. And this one is a 459 to 460 expander. And these dies, which one of these I use depends on the rifle and the measurements I get from the rifle, right? Everything is custom built for a specific rifle when we're doing our long range black powder work. Now, the other die that you're going to get in the regular set of dies is a cedar die. And honestly, it's really nice, but we just flat don't need it. Now, again, if you're loading this bullet over smokeless powder, or even over black powder, you probably do want to use this die because this will have the roll crimp in it. So if you had, let's say you had a 4590 1886 rifle and you wanted to load up some loads to go elk hunting or bear hunting, then yeah, you're for sure going to use this because you want that crimp. And so that's all fine. It's just there's just some differences here, and that's all I'm trying to get across. Now the last die that you're going to need is your compression die, right? So you've got an expander die, which you're after I get my brass prepped, annealed and primed and everything, the first thing that happens is it goes through the compression die, or the expander die, and we get expanded out to that dimension. And then we have another sizing die body here, and this is a compression die. And I want you to look at this and see the tip of the tip of this stem, and how it's different. It's not rounded off, right? And this is the difference between the compression plug and the expander plug. And that's because this thing is designed to compress your powder charge down flat, and you would actually be compressing a Walters wad on top of the powder. You wouldn't use this just to smash powder without a wad there, right? And it's flat so that you don't have a situation where the powder can, where if you were trying to use the expander plug, the powder could actually smash this wad into like a cup shape, which would defeat the purpose of it. So these are two different wads that you need, two different dies that you need, right, to order from Buffalo Arms. They're the only ones that I know of that make them. I'm sure that there are some other people that make them. If you called up the RCBS Custom Shop or Hornady or somebody, I'm sure they could make you a plug just like it. But Buffalo Arms is our friend, and so we want to make sure, and they make exactly what we need. That's the thing. So we want to make sure and try to shout them out whenever we can. So let's take a look at a couple of these things in action. Okay guys, I've got my expander plug in here, the 460 to 461 expander, and this is a Fireform case that I just got out of the tumbler. Still needs a little bit of polish. And here's a cast bullet that is waiting to be loaded, basically. And for whatever reason, it's pretty common that your Fireform cases, the bullet is going to fit really tight like that, right? Like, before I fired it, I was able to just slip it in there, and the neck seems to tighten up on firing. I'm not exactly sure what the actual mechanism for that is, but that's how they come out. Now, when I run this through the expander plug, now I get to a point where this bullet will just slip in there, right? But I don't have that big bell at the case mouth, which is what I don't want, because this thing, what I want is for this thing to just slide right into the chamber, and then if I have to cam it in the last little distance, because my overall length is something like this, I want this thing to engrave just slightly into the lands, only about 20 to 30 thousandths into the lands, right? So, and behind this bullet is going to be compressed powder, so there's no way that me camming this into the action is going to compress this round any further. That will not happen at all with a compressed black powder charge here. But basically, that's the point. What I want to do is I'm going to take and expand all of my cases. Here's a fresh one, and like before, the bullet won't go in. I want to make sure all of my loads, or all of my rounds, are expanded exactly the same to where I can just slip the bullet in there so that I can slip fit. And because as the saying goes, the only consistent neck tension is no neck tension, right? So that's the purpose of this expander plug, and that's why we order it in a custom dimension like that. So there's enough of that. Let's take a look at the compression plug. Alright you guys, so for our compression die, we got a prime case sitting here. We're going to connect to the powder dispenser, and the bullet we're going to load is going to be our 590 grain match bullet. So that's going to be a charge of 90 grains of powder, 9.0. Set target. This thing's going to dispense. There it goes. There we are. Okay, so we picked this up and we're going to send it down the drop tube. There we go. And we have our full case of powder that you can see right there. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set a Walters wad on there. Going to set our Walters wad, push it right in. And I keep a little piece of 3/8 dowel around. It's really handy to help your black powder loading. Now, I've got that right there, right? And there's a very little amount of space. There's only about 1/8 of an inch inside that case right now. But our compression, because you're going to have to do a little bit of math here and figure out exactly what you want your seating depth to be with the bullet, right? When you're done, we want it to seat a little deeper than that, for instance. But I've done my math and I have my compression die done. Now, when you use a compression die, that flat tip on there can easily grab the case mouth and rumple it right up if you're not paying attention. So I feed these in there very slowly until I feel it seat, and then I can compress my powder, right? Now you can see the compressed depth inside the case, and our bullet is going to seat much deeper now. Actually, I need to actually put the other 060 wad in there, but it seats, and there you go. And basically, if I seat my other wad, this thing is basically ready to shoot right now. All I need is my 060 plastic wad and my lubed up bullet, and boom, this is ready to go to the range and send it. So, all right, so basically that's how these dies work. These dies right here, they're nice to have, and if I'm loading for a lever gun, they're for sure going to get used. But for our single shot rifles, these are the two dies that you basically cannot live without. Luckily, they're in good supply and they're not that expensive. I hope that this makes sense for you guys. I hope that you can kind of decipher that. If not, feel free to shoot me an email or hit me up on the comment section down below. I'm going to put links to these two products down below in the comment section so you guys can find them easy. But you got to remember that the custom expander plug, you need to, sorry, that's not it, it's this one right here. You need to measure your rifle to figure out what measurements you need. If you're shooting a Pedersoli rifle, you're going to need a bigger expander plug than this. The compression die, this one's going to work. This is a pretty standard size, but just remember that when you're ordering up your stuff, it's a lot better to get the right product the first time and not have to buy it twice. So anyway, thanks for watching, you guys. Please remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us, especially on Facebook, and we will see you next time on Recoil Therapy. Wow.